And in order for everything to be sure that you are setting that all up and making sure that you're doing this the correct way, we strongly emphasize on setting up good experiments. And Arjan will tell a bit more about how we do that within SYMSON and what you should take in consideration.
Yes. In the next video, on the next slide, you see actually the interface of SYMSON. You saw some snapshots earlier on. And we always start, of course, with the elasticity score we explained earlier in the session. And this elasticity score automatically gives a recommendation based upon the current price, the current cost, the current quantity, the current revenue margin, and margin percentage. So we, of course, respect your current margin percentages, your margin goals, but based upon the elasticity score, if it's elastic or inelastic, we recommend the right outcome according to your goal, which could be optimization for revenue or optimization for margin. But of course, this is not a 100% certain prediction. I think we already discussed it, but in the statistics, you have something like there are no certainties, only probabilities. So based upon the model accuracy, we give you a kind of a probability score. How accurate this margin improve is. So here the model accuracy is quite high, and also the data quality is enough. So therefore, we advise to start an experiment about this to test this new price. So how do we set up an experiment based upon these values? If we go to the next slide, we have high over, of course, two types of products. So we have insensitive products and we have sensitive products. And sensitive products, we give a discount because we expect a higher volume with a lower price. And insensitive items, we give a markup because we expect a slightly lower or even equal volume, but then with a higher price and thus a higher margin. And that's how we set up the experiment. Of course, as Roy already said, we like to work with guardrails and bandwidth so that you have a kind of a risk protection to your price changes, and that you can actually mitigate the risk that you don't have that big increases or decreases in price. And afterwards, you start evaluating, of course, the impact. And with the new data flowing in, you can automatically, directly trigger the machine learning model to come to a new optimization based upon the latest data. So in the next slide, we have a kind of a 5-step approach, how to design an experiment. Of course, it's very important in the first place to start with a good objective. It's like the hypothesis we like to set. So if we have the right products, if we have the right use case, then it starts with having the right objective. So let's assume we want to optimize our margin as an objective. Then we have a selection of products we want to optimize on margin with the elasticity score. But we also need to evaluate in the right way in the end. And therefore, we need to set up a test and a control group in the second step. And we can set up this test and control group on a customer level. We can do it on a product level, or we can even do it on a channel level, like the Amazon and Otto example Roy explained. But it's really important that it's not biased. So if you already know beforehand that there is a total different price sensitivity in a channel or in a country or in different types of customer groups, then it's also not a very good scope for doing this experiment. So make sure the scope you take is kind of a good representation and it's unbiased, so that you have a good separation between customers or products. Then you need to define the timeline. The timeline can be really specific and related to your business. So in e-commerce, the customer behavior could be a little bit more dynamic, so you can already see results in a few days or a week. But in B2B, it could happen that you see the results only after 1 month or maybe a quarter. So therefore, it's really important to set the right timeline to have a realistic test of elasticity. Step 5 is also really important that you evaluate the right way. So if we have the test and control group in step 2, it's really important that you have a separate analysis on this test and control group. Because if they both increased in margin, because that was the goal, then probably something else is happening than just price elasticity. And if only the test group is increasing in margin, then you can evaluate if price elasticity was successful and if the margin suggestions from SYMSON did their work. So it's really important that you evaluate the right way. And also this is a loop. So it's a kind of a scientific loop. You have a hypothesis, you test it with data, but you also become smarter. So having evaluate it the right way, you can start with a smarter objective in the next experiment. And this is also how we designed the system in such a way that you can walk through this loop and starting becoming smarter as a company while experiences this loop over and over again. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is an example Roy already discussed of a biased experiment. So if you want to have an experiment, an equal experiment on Otto and Amazon, and you expect the same outcome, if you already know beforehand that there's a total different sensitivity per channel, please don't do it on a channel dimension, but do it on a dimension. For example, on a product level or any other level you can come with.